Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here with you live today for 2 hours workshop. Today, I do have the pleasure to be with Kirsten. Hello, Kirsten.
Hey, how's it going? I hope everybody's having a wonderful day.
Yeah, hope so, hope so. We are back at a friendly time zone for anyone. India, EMEA, LATAM, we should have everyone with us today. We are together for 2 hours. And we do have a lot of things to cover. So, let's dig into it. I'm Cédric Lunven. I'm leading the developer advocacy team at DataStax. Today, I'm just the Java guy, so not that JavaScript, even if I do have some knowledge a little bit. I created an open source framework a couple of years ago. Now the rock star today is Kirsten. Yeah, could you introduce yourself?
I'm Kirsten Hunter. I've been working with APIs for almost 20 years now. I love great developer experiences. I'm super passionate about it. I've spoken at conferences, and I try to make sure that that people who want to use the APIs get the best experience they possibly can. Because I know from personal experience how frustrating it can be when you feel like you're working against the system. So as you see, I wrote a book on APIs.
Cool. And you see the nice book from Manning. Hey, that's pretty high quality stuff, right? Manning is always the reference. You can see here our Twitter, LinkedIn. Happy for you to be part of our network. Why not? Everybody is my friend. Okay, so it's not only me and Kirsten on screen. As usual, the whole team is with us, handling the stream, answering your question, helping with the promotion and everything. Here you get the full team. Yeah, it's a pretty distributed team, right? So, hi, mate. So a little bit of housekeeping. As usual, we are live on YouTube, just on YouTube today. So we are here to answer your question on YouTube, but only during the stream. If you are watching the recording and we are not here to answer your question live, you still have Discord, and the link is on screen. You can bang Discord on the chat and get the link show up. But again, pause the video and copy paste. Pretty easy to get that short link on Discord. About 17,000 people on the Discord room now to help you. During the live, the links would be provided if you bang and a command like bang tweet, bang Gitpod, bang GitHub, but we will tell you each time. All the materials are on GitHub as usual, but for the hands-on, we won't only rely on GitHub. Of course, GitHub does have the slide, the exercises, and everything you need to do, but really the star of the day is Gitpod. Gitpod is an IDE available in the cloud. It's VS Code in the cloud. Okay, this is where we will do JavaScript. And we do have a very, very interesting plugin called Code Tour that will guide you step by step how to build the app. We will really starting with npx create react app and do the stuff from scratch. It's a full app, it's a full stack app. So not only you will have the React front end, but also the backend, a backend with the real database. The database is Astra DB. And for the backend, this is something called Netlify that we will explain to you what it does.
And I see that we have a couple of questions from the people in the audience about whether a beginner can do it. And what I would say is, first, I think a beginner can absolutely do this. But I also want to say that this is even more accessible than many of our previous workshops with the GitHub instructions, because it's got that step-by-step. So if you get lost or confused or you're having trouble keeping up, just remember, this will still be there. You can come back and do it later. You can watch the video. So it should be very accessible, also as a self-service experience. So just, if you're starting to get frustrated, maybe just step back, listen to us, and then go do it on your own afterwards.
Okay, right. Okay. No.
Is that better? Is my mic better now? How about now? Okay.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Maybe just a little bit loud on the mic. No, not sure. Okay. So your mission today, the title was how to build a full stack JavaScript app. Surprise, surprise. The app that you will build today is a clone of TikTok. Okay, it's just a clone, not all the features. Do not expect to take over TikTok and be a millionaire today, but still you will have a sub part of the same features. So your mission in the next 2 hours is to build the TikTok clone, go to production for free, by the way, over a global CDN using a robust and scalable NoSQL database, also free. And I give you 2 hours, and so now it's you to work. Good luck.
I'm going to just step in here to make sure I turned off noise reduction. Does that help any folks in the chat?
Yeah, so looking at the chat, and I will tell you if the sound is better. So you will see it will be a step-by-step instructions, and each time you do something, you should take a screenshot, because at the end, you can submit all the screenshots you made as homeworks. And if you complete all the steps, we will give you that nice, super nice badge. You can brag on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or anything. We have a dozen of badge covering multiple sample apps like Netflix clone, doing some Java, doing some GraphQL, doing some streaming. So, if you like the interactivity, if you like the content today, consider to subscribe. It will take for us about a week to get the review of your homework. So there is no deadline to submit the homework, but if you can complete them by the end of this week, that would be better, because we tend to review them manually on Mondays. Okay. All right, so we will build a full stack applications, so front-end, back-end, and database, 3 tiers. The user interface is built with React, the backend will be with Netlify, and the database with Astra. It will be mostly hands-on, so Kirsten will guide you through the Git pod steps. And I will take over time to time just to show you with the schema where we are and what are we doing. So this is the scope of today. Starting the labs. Starting will take a few time because we will need to really start the IDE, start the DB, and then we will be set and we can go and do all the steps. Building the React app, building the backend with Netlify. Okay, so now is the time for everyone to start working. So either do bang git pod, bang git, bang git pod on the chat. What I will do is also make sure I will copy paste that URL for everyone in the chat. But it's also the URL available on GitHub. So if you go to GitHub, here it is. Here is the GitHub URL. Okay. Now you will have everything. On the GitHub URL, you see, this is what the application look like. This is exactly what we will do. And what we want you to do is first open in Gitpod in a new tab, or an existing or you can just click there. It will open in the same tab. So it could take a few minutes to load, depending on where you are on the planet. Gitpod may have to build the image, but if the image is built, others could benefit from it. If you live in France, probably you will already get the image built because I did it before. This is what your screen should look like when the Gitpod stop loading. Okay, as you can see, it's an ID. It's very look like a VS Code expected. This is VS Code, and you will see code tour, which is the pretty nice step-by-step helper that we will use today. That will be loaded and set at the first step called Astra Getting Started Authentication.
Right, and remember, there's going to be a menu sort of in the middle of the top where you can choose the step that you want to do. So you just choose the first step. It only comes up when it first loads. So.
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I see some Gitpod is crashing. That's a web-based tool. It's the same for everyone. That's is there a downtime for Gitpod? Yes, there is.
Yeah, it actually, you have to start paying after a certain number of hours. So that's kind of a problem.
No, but
run into that myself.
Yeah, we are working with a public GitHub repo, so it should not be a problem to load that. Yeah, try with Firefox. Yes.
So are you still not able to hear me?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a bit loud, or David could check the sound level. For me, you sound okay. I'm not understanding what the workbench is not connecting means. It should just load these. Okay, I will disable my notification. It should load just this ID for you. Okay, pause notification. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So far so good. Okay, so finally we get some few people having the Git pod loaded. And the first step that we will ask you to do is to create the database, because that guy will take a few minutes to load. That step number one. And so if you want, step one would be to go on Astra and create a database. So to go to Astra, bang Astra, you will get the link. Okay, so boom. Here is the link. Everybody can go there. So this is what I'm doing right now. Opening the link Astra. Okay. And I will sign up with Google because I already have an account. But this is where you can use any, if you already have an account, that's cool. Okay. Oh, not sure why is not happy. But hey, it's logging and loading, and this is what it looks like. So in the code tour, you see that animation to do, to know what you need to do. Let me show you. I will go create my database. The database for today will be called workshops with the NES and the key space TikTok. Then you pick any region you like, AWS, I don't know. Yeah, I've read that some of the cloud providers are not really in good shape today. You can look at Twitter. So, let's pick one that I'm aware that, I'm not aware any issue. I will pick the AWS for Europe. But you know, there is no change for you, and you create a free database, and it will still free until you use it. You use 80 million queries a month. That's a lot, and those queries are renewed every month. So before you reaching out the limit, it will take some time. And you know, with that, my database is pending, creating. I do have my Git pod open. I think it will be time for Kirsten to take over and do the real JavaScript magic.
Okay. Well, so let me share my screen. Just one sec. We'll go with that one. All right. And again, this has sort of the overview, but the steps themselves, we had a question in the chat. The steps themselves are in GitHub. So the way you follow them is you start the GitHub. I know this won't work in just regular VS Code because we've actually created a Docker image specifically for this with the correct versions of all of the software and everything. So, mine came up very quickly. It's still loading the getting started stuff, and it should. And it doesn't. Yes, it does. Okay. So I'm going to select the tour to start. I'm going to select Astra getting started. All right. So we're actually going to start from scratch. Some of the workshops that we have, people that can play here, I'm just going to push this button because it's going to take a little while. Some people have been concerned that they didn't really feel like they were building something. Obviously, we can't build a full-fledged application all from scratch. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a basic React app. We're going to build that up using existing code, and we'll talk through that code as we get there so that you can see how all the pieces work together. And in a moment, I'll do the Astra setup workshops. So did everybody, did we get a token, Cedric? Did you do that part?
I did that part. Maybe you should redo it to have your own speed.
What I wanted to do was see if I could get some thumbs up from people, because I have a save token that I can use. Like if they save the CSV, then they'll have the same thing. But if somebody wants us to go through it again, I report, if you go down to the lower left-hand corner of the screen under Code Tour.
Oh, that's a very good point from Daniel Grillo. So I show how to create the database, but I did not show how to create the token. So maybe when Astra setup will ask for a token, maybe you can show how to create a token, please.
Totally. All right. So for anyone who gets lost in Code Tour, or the step goes away or something, you can always come down to this thing in the left navigation bar and click on the step that you're doing. And it will actually give you little green checks as you get through them. So you'll be able to see where you were. So I'm going to go ahead and do an Astra setup. Just a second. Oh, that's because I probably hit return. Yes, I did. Okay. So I'm going to go to Astra. And I'll log in. And I have workshops database already. But what I need to do, there's two ways to get to the token management. I'm going to show you one, and then we'll use the other one. Okay, so the first one is you can just generate the token in the little 3 drop down, the little ellipsis on its side over here, right? So you just click on that and say generate a token, and it will go directly to the page. But if you want, you can also go to organization settings in the upper left-hand menu, down to token management. And what we're going to do is we're going to generate a new token. I just want to show you over here. So in the drop down, we selected organization settings, token management, and now we're going to select database administrator. I just want to show you this because if you come through and do this workshop again on your own, it's sometimes people miss that database administrator is what you need to be. So I'm going to pick database administrator, and I will generate a token. Now, generally, you could, of course, use the API read-write, but it's actually a separate API that we use to create databases. And so we need a little bit more permission. So there's 3 things here. There's a client ID, a client secret, and a token. The only thing you need is the token. All right, so you can do you can get it a couple of different ways. I'm going to go ahead and download the token details. That will give me a CSV file that has the information in it. And the other thing I could do is I could copy it to my clipboard. But what I can't ever do is come back to this page and see this token. This computer, this website will not show me that again. So make sure that you're grabbing the one that starts with Astra CS and on the bottom called the token. And now it's in my clipboard. Is there something I need to do to my video? So when you say paste down here, it's going to ask you if it's okay, and it's okay. So I've created it.
Okay, so let's wait for people just to give us a thumb up, because as soon as you do have Git pod loaded, the database up, and the token, hey, now we can start doing some code, because we do have all the pieces.
Well, and I just wanted to point out what Astra setup is doing is it's basically checking to make sure that you have the database workshops that we told you to create. It's checking to make sure that you do have the key space, the correct key space, right? And then it creates a .env file, as you know, probably know if you're familiar with React. React likes to have .env files that have the specific environment that you need for the application to run. One of the cool things about Netlify is that we're going to be able to just give that to Netlify too, so it's going to work. That used to be a big pain for us, so it's not anymore.
Yeah, so no rush. So I see question keep coming. So how do you open Kotor? Because when Git pod start, sometimes you need to go to the left side of the screen at the bottom. So you see multiple tabs: workspace, outline, timeline, Kotor. So Kotor is last at the bottom. So click Kotor and click on the step 1, Astra getting started, and you will see the same screen as Kirsten.
So let's see. So HTE, did you find Kotor based on what Cedric said? Pending, it's just your database. It's okay if it's still coming up. If you used a different name for the database that you created in Astra in the website, then it's going to need to create that database, and that will take a couple of minutes. But
yeah, indeed, that was one comment we had in the beginning. Can't you create the database for us with the command lines? And I answer, I'd say, yeah, this is exactly what we will do for you with something called Astra setup. But unfortunately, you need that token. So this is why we did the account creation first and token.
And just so you guys know, we understand that this part is kind of grungy, that you have to go over here and do this and go over there and do that, and we don't like it either. So we're working very closely with the engineers to try to come up with a way where we can get that token for you more automatically, so that you can just get to the doing of the stuff instead of setting it up. All right, do you think we're ready to move?
Don't want to rush. So hey, if you catch up, if you are ready, please tell us. Tell us if you're okay. So the key space name is TikTok. Yes, Sumit told us he's okay.
No, it's not what's the key space name, it's what's a key space name. And that's how we organize our tables. It's kind of the same as a database in other systems. Let's see, get token again, yes.
Okay,
yes.
So the DB name is workshops. So reading the comments, it seems like people are still creating the DB. And that's fine. We are not that's really the first step that is important, and you will see then it will be mostly click, click, click. We will just read the instruction, even maybe too simple, but it will do a lot for you.
Yes, and mostly what we're here to do is kind of guide you through, what's happening and why. So somebody asked if we could go through generated token again. So I'm going to go, the first way was through the organization menu here, but I'm going to show you the other way, which you probably would use when you need them, is you're going to go and generate a token. Now, some of you may have generated a token and not saved it, and now you don't have access to it anymore. If you create another token, it's not going to make your first token stop working. You can have as many tokens as you want. As you see, I have a lot. So we're going to do a database administrator again, and then just click on generate token. Again, we're either going to actually, I suggest that you do both. Download the token details to that CSV file, or copy it to your clipboard. Right. So once it's copied to your clipboard, you can go back to Code Tour. You'll just paste it in on the where it says paste the database admin token here, and you should be good. The DB name it does not need to be specific. In fact, it's kind of good, especially if you're going to do more of these workshops with us. You're only allowed to have 5 databases in the free tier, but you can have 1 million key spaces, or like 1,000 or something, a lot. You can have a lot of key spaces. So we can just use the workshops database for all of your workshops, and thus we can avoid messing with the capacity you have for other stuff.
Okay. Now, first question, fatal past spec, yarn.lock, did not match any file, setting the Git. Yeah, that's,
we're not.
maybe that's just a warning. Maybe that's just a warning. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, okay. So I think it seems like everybody's doing well and possibly ahead of us. HTE, we don't actually have another version of these instructions.
Yeah, that's just a warning. This is what I expected. Yeah, and we will delete that log file. I think Kirsten did a comment, just remove yarn.lock.
All right. So now I'm going to set up Git. So I should just make a little script that does this. So basically, I'm faking it out, telling it my email is tiktok@example.com. Obviously, it's not. And username is TikTok. So I'm now. If you look down here at the bottom of the screen, I'm in the workspace Astra TikTok directory, and that was created by the React app. But it's not yet under source control. So I'm going to go ahead and do a git init. We're going to change the master branch to main because master is a word that we're trying to move away from. I'm going to add all the files, except I'm going to remove. Oh, I see. You took out yarn lock, so that step is not right anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you took out the yarn lock. Anyways, and then git commit -a -m initial commit. Okay, so now you have a Git repository with all your code in there. All right, let me. Okay, good.
Yep. And again.
So is everybody good on Git?
Yeah, let's pause, because this is where we just remove the yarn.lock, and then we will commit. And if you do have some, no, you shouldn't have any issue with the initial commit. No, that's okay.
No, it should be good. But the GitHub part's a little bit more tricky, so I want to make sure.
Yeah, that's 1.3 where there is a little bit more information. I think. Yeah, copy the code to remove yarn.lock. Yeah. With Code Tour, you really just have to click on the lines in blue, and they will be executed on the terminal. That's the magic of this new way to deliver workshop. You don't even have to copy paste. It just click and the instruction will execute.
All right. So it seems like people are still working on the Git part. So I don't know, Cedric, should we go ahead and do the GitHub part, or should we move past it?
As of now, I do have a lot of thank you. So I think people catching up.
We're doing good. Okay, good.
Yeah, but keep going with the question. I'm here to answer. David as well. We can pause. We do have time. The setup is always the trickiest part.
Yeah. So now, what we're going to do here is we're going to create a GitHub repository. That is the remote for your repository that we're just sitting in here in your workspace. So that means that tomorrow, next week, next year, next month, whatever, you can get back to this repository that you created and get to it on GitHub. So the first thing you need to do is you need to do an auth login. So I click the button, and down here it says, what account do you want to log into? Well, I want to log into github.com. I would like to use HTTPS. These are just defaults. Authenticate Git with your GitHub credentials. Yes. Log in with a web browser. Copy my one-time code. Okay, so for this one, we need to go directly to the auth website. So as you see, it's got the answers for all of those questions, but the next thing you need to do is go directly to the auth website. Auth websites do not like to work in GitHub because they don't want to be in a box. They just never are. Yay. All right. So what's really cool about this login is that, it just popped up, and it's supposed to pop up a browser, but it tries to go in the IDE, and that doesn't work. But I'm going to press enter to continue, and you can see it's all done. I'm now authenticated to GitHub, so I can create a repository. It's going to say, hey, what do you want to call it? Well, hey, let's call it Astra TikTok 2, because I'm pretty sure I already have a one. And then I'm not going to put a description. I want it to be public. And yes, I would like it to be origin. That's what we usually work with for our GitHub repositories. So now there is a repository on GitHub. We can see that. We can go to GitHub. And repositories. And see, this was just created. This is my my stuff, but look, there's nothing in there, right? I created a repository, but I didn't actually push stuff. So I need to get the comments that I have of my React starter app out to GitHub. So to do that, I do git push. Actually, I will do the clicky thing because it's nice. Okay, so it's done, right? So now I have a copy, and we can go and we can double check that, right? We can look at that repository that we created, and it's got all the things, right? So excellent, excellent. So how's everyone doing with that? It doesn't matter, yeah, it doesn't matter if you use that example for the email. It's just for Git. It's fine.
Yeah, the Git config, Git description in step 1.2, Git config global username, Git config email. It's just like some comments. You know, it's not really important. This is not what makes you authenticate against GitHub. That's just some settings we don't really care, but needed to be there for Git init.
Yeah, because if you use Git to push things to GitHub and you don't have those set, then it'll complain, and that's annoying. So basically, we gave it a pacifier, so it wouldn't be said. Where's Stefano's document? Frederick? I suspect that's the issue that Stefano ran into with the permission being denied.
Okay, so if you got permission denied on public repo, this is what is written exactly on step 3 with the bold text starting like, if you got git push origin main command error, you should, and it will explain you that you need to allow Gitpod to interact with GitHub public repo. And so you do have the step-by-step. That's really go to the permission panel on the top lower hand corner and, you know, go to Gitpod web.
Yeah, do we have that document somewhere that people can look at, or like?
That's totally written at the bottom of the screen right now, on top of, in front of you. If you got error, I had it lately in the in there just for you to have exactly what you need to do to enable GitHub there.
All right.
What to do for git config? Just click git config. Nothing to change, Abud. The resources for the class are on GitHub. So bang GitHub and you will get the link with the resources. But just GitHub won't give you anything. You really need to run that in the environment Gitpod.
Oh, he wants me to
bang, yeah. I keep saying
he
bang.
wants
Okay,
me
so
to demonstrate. Okay,
GitHub.
so I will demonstrate the permissions. So we're gonna we got the permission panel.
Yes, so the lower part in Gitpod, that's really the wheel really at in the corner left.
Or this thing.
Yeah.
I haven't done this because I didn't need to, so.
Yeah.
So I can't really demonstrate it because I don't know where.
Yeah. Okay. Let me. Oh.
That doesn't tell me anything. I mean, it's like there's no permission panel with what button.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know that's cool because then you know people can catch up.
Open access control. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. I'm just looking for the link here with the permission.
Yes, that's where it is. Okay. So
Yeah,
so to go back,
this is really gitpod.io/account.
On the little person button on the lower left-hand side. See where I am here? I'm going to open access control, and it's going to go to, you'll notice this is gitpod.io. So you're actually changing your configuration in Gitpod, not GitHub. They're separate. And so you can see that I have public repo and user email. I'm going to edit permissions. And if you do not have public repo selected, then it will not work. So select public repo, update the permissions, and you should be good to go. All right.
Yeah, again, when did you go to show the integration UI?
What?
You know, where is the link to show up this GitHub? Okay, worked. Okay, nice. Seems like.
Okay.
Yeah, no, people are with.
We need to change the wording here because it's not, that first step is not really sure.
Yeah, maybe we can also add some pictures for sure.
Yeah,
but this is also why we are here, right? Because otherwise it's just self-service and you run that without us and it's just sad.
All right, so now we're to the next step, and that is what we're going to do here is we're going to pull in some code. We're going to sort of sanitize the default React application by taking out stuff that we're not going to use. So if you look at the code here, you'll see we're using report web vitals, and then we call it down here. That's not useful for us. We don't really want to do report web vitals. So now I'm going to insert code, and you see that it's the same, but it doesn't have those two things, right? So in order to make that change, you just click on the insert code button, and it will replace the code.
Yes.
So we're going to do the same thing with app.js. So app.js, basically what this is it's the React logo and some helpful stuff. But we really just want to start from scratch here. We don't want to start with their stuff. We just want to start with the basic. So it's just, and let me just real quick show you. I was going to make a picture for React, and we actually have a React getting started. So when you go to React application, it calls index.html. And index.js is used to inject content into the HTML file. So that's what it's going to do. It's going to take the element by ID root of index.html, and it's going to shove this app in it. But app doesn't do anything yet. React is made of components. There's lots of different components, and you build them all together like you're building with Legos, and that's how you create your application. So in this case, this is a very, very simple component. It basically has nothing. But that's fine. We're going to add to it later. But this is kind of, you're going to see a lot of this. We have a lot of components that we're going to be working with. How do I choose here? I'm not sure, Douglas, I'm not sure what you are looking at. But in the meantime, I'll click this button. So we're going to get a React router. And what that's going to do is it's going to do the routing for the endpoints. So we're going to have some serverless functions. We're going to have a home page and an upload page. So we first have to install the React Router DOM. Sure, we can go back to how to insert code. I can't do it again because it will get messed up. But on the app.js and the index.js, it's got the code in the step, and then you just click on insert code. right. Okay. Christopher, if you go into the authentication step in your code tour, which is right here, there's actually a little video. And if you run at the Astra Setup Workshops TikTok, it will give you the instructions on how to get the token. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to copy in some updated versions of our files. So I'm going to do that copy. Let's check and make sure everyone's with us. I see somebody still with the tokens. You just need to save settings and then go back to the other GitHub tab. You want to log into GitHub repository. It's on the it's in the steps there, Douglas.
After no, just I just said after inserting code, at the bottom of each page there is some next. So you say go next, step 2 to go to the next. And the other
thing is there's also some navigation on the top of those. So if you're not at the bottom of the step, that works as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and import the routing and switching functions and put a hash router. We're going to put a header in there. And then we're going to set up in the switch, we're going to go ahead and set up routes for the home and upload pages. So if you just go to the base path, you'll get the component is home. And if you go to upload, you'll get the upload component. So it looks, so as you see here, we have, we're going to import the home component from pages home. We're going to import the upload component from pages upload. And we're going to import the header. Notice it's not pages header, because it's not a page. It's a component that we're going to use in a page. So that we have those in components. So again, and good to notice when you're using the hash router with the switch, the first match wins. So what would happen if I put these in the opposite way? So we had home first and then upload, is that everything would go to home. Because upload would come through, it would match the slash, and we'd go to home. Nobody would ever be able to get to upload. So you always want to have your more specific things before your more general.
Just fun stuff happening in the chat, you know.
Okay. So if we're going to add a header that's going to be consistent for the upload page and home page, and that's what we want, then we need to add some content to the components. We need a followers column where we can see people that we're currently following. And then we're going to have a feed and a little box of suggested accounts. So we need to install some more libraries. Let's see. Looks like we're all doing okay. Douglas, the instructions are in the steps in CodeTour. It tells you how to answer each of those questions. Biswajit, we have lots of different workshops. We actually have a fairly simple one on GitHub that does React basics, which is a great place to start. And almost all of our current workshops do use Astra DB, Node, and React. So as you follow along, you'll learn more stuff. Okay, let's look at the header. Well, it's just a really basic header, right? All we need right now is to know that we've got the header there. It's got an H1 element with header in it. And so here, this actually shows you, remember we included the header in an earlier file, and this has a return. So what this component is doing is you're defining the component, and return is what's going to be shoved into the page at that point. Okay, and then the followers column, same thing. Really what we're doing is we're kind of making sure that our layout works correctly. So we're styling with CSS. So we have the followers column, and as you can see, we've made this a very bright and colorful layout, but that's just so we can make sure the CSS is working the way we want it to, right? So we're going to have a yellow header, there's going to be a red followers column, and a blue suggested box. So we're putting the followers column into our home.js page. So the first thing we do up here, import followers column from components followers column. You're always going to need to import those components so that you can use them in the files. And here we have followers column. And that's what we're doing. And then I'm not going to go so much over upload.js. You can look at it, but basically this is the other page. We have the home page and we have upload.js. And when we go to upload.js, it'll allow us to upload a video to our system. All right. Well, actually, we're just about to get to that Netlify dev part. Netlify dev would actually work now, but let's get this set up so that we can get our Netlify working. So Netlify is a CDN, content delivery network. But what's really cool about them is that they support serverless functions, and that means that it's just like Lambda. In fact, on the back end, it just is AWS Lambda. So you can create little functions, but you don't have to host them on a server. So we're going to go ahead and copy the netlify.toml. And if you're curious about netlify.toml, basically, when I say netlify build, what I mean is npm run build. I'm keeping my functions in a functions directory. And when I say publish, I mean build. So, it's not a very complicated little guy, but all right. And so you can see I lost my step, but I can get it back by using the left navigation. Okay, so we're going to create a new Netlify site based on the Git repository. Note that this is actually based on the Git repository that you're sitting in, and not the GitHub one that you have.
You know, Kirsten, I think now, just before creating the Netlify site, would be the time for me just to show the slide, just to see what we did with the database, what we imported, why we set up, and we go back to create the Netlify site. Okay.
I'll keep track of what's going on in the chat.
Let me take over here, and indeed. So let me.
Oh, I have to unshare, right?
No, I think I can take over. Do not worry. I think I'm sharing now. Just wait for YouTube to update. Come on. Yeah. Okay. So I know it's a bit of magic. You just click and click and click, and the code happened. And so what happened under the hood? So the first things we did was to create the database. The database is called Astra DB, and the database is based on Apache Cassandra. It's a NoSQL database, but this database provides a set of APIs, REST, GraphQL APIs. So because we are building a front-end app, we want to use the REST API. So this is here in yellow, what we call Stargate, exposing some REST API. This is what we want to use to connect to the database. Okay, so you created the DB and you do have that running. Then we created an empty React app, okay, in Gitpod. Here we are in the middle. We just say npx create app. We do have an empty app. Then we did Astra setup. When we did Astra setup and provided a token, what the script did was to retrieve all the values from the database. So if the database is up, if not, I create one. What is a key space? Create a key space TikTok if needed, and set up the app, set up the connection from the app to the database. If you look at your Gitpod right now and try to look for a file called .env, you will see that there you find all the credentials for you to connect to AstraDB. Okay, so this is what we did. Then all the steps were really to update the indexed or app.js files, to create some root division on the UI, and remove all the defaults that we don't need. So we do have like a first screen, everything needed to connect to the database, but nothing in between. So it's like we do have the front end, we do have the database ready, but we need something in between for the front end to communicate to AstraDB, not interacting directly with the database, because we don't want to expose the credentials over internet. You know, you really need a dedicated backend. And so this dedicated backend for today won't be Express, won't be something like that. It would be something called Netlify. And you will see it just by creating some simple functions at the code level that Netlify will host all the code for the front-end app, but also expose your functions as endpoints to be invoked by the front end. So that's pretty powerful. Just create a set of function and Netlify will do that for you. So what we will do in step 3 is really, go to Netlify, create a site ready to host our data, do the link between your code and Netlify, GitHub and Netlify, and then each time we will commit on GitHub, it will be Netlify will notice and will do the. It's the deployment is manual. Yeah, that's true. Still, yeah, this is why you don't need especially GitHub for today. But with Netlify command line, we will build a project and deploy the project in this site created for us. And so now, instead of running some local Express, we will ask Netlify to expose the backend for us. Okay, just looking for question. Is Netlify open source? Netlify is really like a huge platform. If I go back to the GitHub with some materials, I gave you here more information regarding Netlify. Netlify really here is takes the code, doing some computation, static seed generator, optimization, and host your code. So it's not like it should be open source or something like that. It's kind of an application server, something that will host and run your code. And Netlify has some server all across the world. It's a CDN, so content data network, to have the website as close as possible to your users. And this is, by the way, what is called the Jamstack. Before we have the front end, let's say React, the web server and app server, let's say Express, and the database. Now with Netlify or Vercel, which is another one to do this Jamstack, client and backend is hosted on the same CDN. So that's super web page rendering. That's decoupling from monolithic app to microservice. Because it's CDN, it's super fast. Because the code is hosted somewhere else, it's super secure, it's scalable, performant. And I won't read all the steps, but you do have it on GitHub to know everything that is cool about having your code compile, optimize, deploy in the CDN, and also some nice way to expose backend function. Okay, so that's it for the theory. You do have the front end, you do have the application, you do have the database. Now it's time for you to create the Netlify site. And with that, I think back to you, Kirsten.
Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, so can everybody hear me? You know, sound isn't great, but it'll take me a little while to find some other headsets. So, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a Netlify site. We have Netlify CLI tools in the workspace already for you. Now, you see that it's trying to open this authorization link, and as I mentioned, Gitpod doesn't play well with those authorized links. So if you hold down Command and click if you have a Macintosh, or if you right-click on a Windows box, then it will open that for you in another window. And the application is named Netlify CLI, and it wants to know if we authorize it. Well, I just asked, so yeah, I'm going to authorize it. If I come back, you can see, oh, hey, you've been logged in. So now it's going to do the create that I asked it to do. I'm not going to choose a unique site name. You can call it whatever you want. And then now it's created. So then we're gonna link the Netlify site to your local workspace. If you've done other workshops with us, this is done via a button that links your GitHub repository to the Netlify. But in this case, we're just working locally and with Netlify. So we just need to tell the workspace. So what I want to do is I'm going to go down. We're not going to use the current remote origin because remember, Netlify doesn't know about that GitHub, right? So we're going to choose from a list of our recently updated sites. And what I'm looking for, if you look over here, you can see that its name is Confident Pain. So Confident Pain, that's the one that I want. So now I'm going to do something. This used to be one of the biggest pains in setting up things back in the BattleStacks days, was setting up the environment. Well, we have something automatically create those environment variables for you. And we can now tell Netlify, use that env file. Remember, I have the .env file. And now it took that and it slurped it. Let's go take a look at Netlify and see what's happening now. Already be logged in, okay. Okay, so Confident Pain. Let's take a look and see what's there. We're going to look at the site settings. Oh, I have to deploy it in order for those environment variables to show up, but they will show up under environment. Oh, it does happen. That's cool. So, so this means that Netlify is going to hold on to those environment variables for me. So I don't have to tell it that information when it's serving the content that I'm asking it to serve. Okay, back we go. Now I'm going to build my site. And again, remember the netlify.toml file said, if I say netlify build, what I mean is npm run build. So it does a little sort of framework stuff first, and then it basically does the npm run build. So it will take just a moment. How's everybody doing?
Yeah. So just to wrap up, because some question came. So Netlify sit create open this preview, ugly preview. You open on a new window and authorize Netlify. Okay, so now you do have a site, and you authorize Netlify to interact with you. Netlify link, and then the third command is netlify env-import.env. So if you look at the .env file on in your platform, you will see that hey, there you will find all the environment variables, the Astra token, the Astra database, the Astra key space name, everything is needed to connect to your database. The way to import some environment variable from your environment to Netlify is the command netlify env:\import, and it's just exporting your environment's variables to the target Netlify website. It's way easier than going to the Netlify user interface and entering the environment variables one after the other.
Yeah, that's what we used to do, and it wasn't super fun. So, all right, so I'm going to do netlify deploy -p. That -p means production. So obviously we wouldn't be doing this in the real world, but it's okay because it's a demo. All right, so I have deployed now. So let's see if I can open the site. And there it is. So remember, I told you that we use the CSS just to make sure that all of the components were where we expected them to be, right? And here they are, right? There's the followers column, and it's red, it just accounts, it's blue, the header is yellow. That was an early iLeport. That was that you didn't do the netlify link. Was the second command. Did you do the first command, the sites create, and then netlify link?
Okay, so Mr. Laporte does have an issue stating that netlify links need to be executed.
I don't think he's done all of the commands here.
Yeah, okay. So really make sure that netlify sit create is done before, because that will generate some hidden netlify file in your folder just to create that interaction with the site.
How's everybody doing? Have you got the chance to see your super beautiful red, white, and blue?
I mean, that's so, Kirsten, that's cool, but for next time, switch the blue and the red. You will get the French flag. It'll be so much better, right?
Evan's sake, you actually need to command click or right click on that URL and go give the authorization as it says in the instructions. But I'm not sure why that didn't work, because well, that Cedric, that's different, because it's going to have a different ticket name for each person who's doing the authorization.
Yeah, I removed the ticket, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Can you repeat the authorization part? Yeah, so that's really when you do netlify sit create, an URL will open and will fail. This is the ugly gray that you saw on the preview. You need to copy paste the link to open that on a new window, and only then you will be able to authorize.
You can actually just command click or right click, depending on your platform, and it will work fine.
Okay. So netlify link.
Yeah.
Okay. I do have link. Netlify of import. Doing it right now. Netlify build. And netlify deploy. Let's see.
Yes, you do need a Netlify account to authorize, and it does ask some questions, but it doesn't ask for credit card information. And Netlify is free for up to a really lot of stuff. I probably have like 75 sites on there, and haven't gotten charged anything. So,
let's look like a lot of tools. I get it. That looks like a lot of tools. But you will see that with all the tools set up, you can create 3 lines of JavaScript and have a sit in production for free. So that worth the effort. And rewatch the workshop. I don't know, in slow motion or step by step. But as soon as all steps are wired together, now each time you commit something in the GitHub repo, the website is redeployed, updated, already connected to the database. So that's pretty cool.
All right. Shall we move on? Do you want to talk about functions a little bit, Cedric? Did you have something for that?
Yeah. So I do. So I catch up.
We're going next.
Yes, so as Yaya stated, yes, now that we wired things, so let me share my screen, sharing, okay, let me see, waiting for my ugly to show up. Okay, I think, yes, I'm good. Yeah, so as soon as we set up the site, indeed, each time you commit in the repo, the website is redeployed like that. Okay.
No, that's, remember, we're not using the GitHub.
You need to do,
we're using a build-in deploy.
Yeah, you need netlify, indeed, netlify build, netlify deploy. I told you, I'm the Java guy, okay? Netlify build, netlify deploy, and it's working. Now, there is a way to set up netlify for netlify to be aware of any new commits, but we did not do that today. Back to netlify. So we have this guy that will take our code, build, and then when you deploy, it will host for free your code. And it's super performant, available everywhere. It's not the only features that netlify provide you. You can also create very simple functions. So a new folder in your project called functions. 1 file per function. And you will say, hey, this function will get as input this object ABC, and I will return the object X. And it's just a JavaScript function, really, nothing special about that. When you deploy your project to netlify, netlify will detect, oh, there is a function folder here. So I will use any function that you put there and expose that for you as a REST API. And then you can start executing some post request against the endpoint. There is nothing for you to do. So no Express, no server for you to set up to listen to HTTP requests. No, nothing. Only create a function as code, deploy, and netlify will expose an endpoint for you. And the best part of that is this is what we call a serverless function. You know, the more capacity you need to run the function, the more Netlify will create some servers and scale out the function as much as needed. Well, that just scale as you need. So it's not only take your code, expose the code, but also scale as you need. And you know, that's pretty neat. So this is really what we will do right now. We will create a new folder called function. We'll create new files there called add data, post data. And Kirsten will show you that just by creating those files, you now have REST API in your project.
All right. Let me share again. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next tour, which is for functions. Again, if you somehow lost track of your code tour, we've got this left navigation, and you'll just go to for functions, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and copy in that functions directory. Now, we told Netlify we're putting functions in functions, right? So that's great. If you look in functions, you'll see we have add data, edit, and post. And we'll go through what each of those does and what the code looks like. Now, so add data.js. What we're going to do with add data.js is we're going to go ahead and populate the database so that it's got some movies in it to play with. So what we're doing here is we're actually pulling in the Astra.js Node collections API. We're actually going to change this all so it all uses clients so that it's very consistent for you. But right now, we're still separate with collections and REST. With the collections, you can see we have a collection name. So the collection name is whatever we decide it to be, right? And that's going to have a collection of things in it, right? So because it's the document database, it's really not a schema. We're just going to put in JSON things, and we're going to throw them into a named collection. So our named collection is posts. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to read the workspace of resources data.json, which is in your workspace. Let's see. Resources. Oh, resources. Well, there it is. And that's just, it's just a JSON file, right? So we've got various things and we're going to load them up. So I'll go back. And so that's what add data.js does. One of the things we're going to note about add data.js is that if it succeeds, it's not going to say anything. We might want to change that because it's kind of not a friendly setup, but we'll see how that works. So now we're going to set up post.js. What post.js does is it's going to read that collection, same collection name, right? It's going to read that collection, and then it's going to map all of those various objects and send them back. So far we have add data and we have post, right? So I'm going to run the server. We're going to get a new terminal. That was trickier than it should have been, but it works. So it's going to start. It'll take a little while to start up. Why did it? Oh, I clicked it twice. Yeah. Yeah. I need to do this. Only once. The trackpad's getting kind of twitchy. So what we're actually doing here is we're going to do a preview. So it'll come up in this window. We're looking at our environment variables to find out what the git pod workspace URL is, which is actually teal pipe whatever. And then, you know, I'm basically going to this place, but I'm going to add .netlify functions add data. That's where netlify exposes your functions directory. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Let's try that again. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so it succeeded. And again, it would be nice if it said that it succeeded, but it doesn't yet. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to see what's in the database. And hey, how about that? Right? We got those pieces of data. They're in the database now. So let's make sure everybody's doing okay. Patrick, do you have any good questions? So you know, you actually need to wait until the netlify dev starts up. It won't be found, and then it will be found.
Yep. Yeah, just looking. Page not found. Open the site.
Page not found is just because the server hadn't finished started yet, right? So netlify dev starts up the server, but it does a bunch of things first, and it takes a minute or so. So if you click too fast, it's not there yet. But it should be there now.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah, so now the as you can see, the function is responding some JSON payload, and we're only creating 2 files, add data and post, and you know, just basic JavaScript. So pretty cool.
So one of the cool things about netlify, now that we have some functions up there, right, is we can take a look at the functions.
Oh yeah, you can see the function on the netlify web user interface.
Not showing up. No. Oh, I see. Well, I can do that. What did I call it? Astra. So I guess we have to have the but anyways, so in a second. Let's go ahead and get to the card component. So if you're familiar with sort of how TikTok works, in those places where we had things, there's little cards. Each person has a card, like they might have a face, it could have their name, it could have their handle or their website or whatever, right? So what we need to do is we need to build those cards and then just shove them in the places where they go, how they go. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm copying a new set of components, a new set of pages, and so that I'm ready to go, right? And so this is this. So it's components, pages, and then there's public, which is where index.html lives. I'll do that again. And then I'm gonna, we have an app component in app.js, but it really wasn't doing much. So we're going to move it into index.js so that we just flatten out a little bit of the structure that we have. Okay. So there's lots of changes to home.js. Let's go through them together. So we're going to update the imports, right? So we've got React, obviously. We've got the components followers column, components card, components mini card. So we've imported all of the components that we need to build what we're trying to do. So now we've got data coming in and out of Astra. I mean, I didn't really specify, but this over here, that came from Astra. That came from your database, right? So we're getting data, but we want to sort based on descending ID order, and this can be achieved through filtering. So we've added the descending following. We're going to sort by the descending by the number of likes, so that people with more likes go at the top. And next, the data fetcher. So this is our home object, right? Home is quite a big component. It is a page in itself, right? It's in the pages directory, and it's one of the 2 home pages. So we're basically grabbing all of the information about the users. And so we want to know the top 5 following, because that's our friends, right? We want to know the top 5 not following, people we might want to follow. And so we can show them differently in the feed and in the following. So, and here we're just doing a post to netlify functions add data. Let's look at what that code looks like real quick. Remember, again, we had that, right? So we created the Astra client with the information, and then we pulled in that data. So that is where we are. I think I just got myself lost. Here we are. Here we go. So, you can read through the code. It's really fairly straightforward, right? So we're setting up the descending users and top 5 following to use with different cards. We're going to call the add data endpoint to add data to the system, and then fetch data from the post endpoint to populate the page. It's okay that it's going to run it again, and it's just going to put duplicate data in. It doesn't really bother us much. So what that meant is that if you went to home, then it would have just gone ahead and run the add data function, the serverless function, and the post function to get that information so that it could populate it for you. So here we have the not following users, descending, not following. And again, we want people who have lots of likes, lots of followers, but we're not following. So we can find other cool people who have cool content. And this, again, we're returning, right? So we're returning the content that's going to be injected into the HTML page. So we have descending users, a class name is container. This is how we're going to do the CSS is by using these class names. And we'll see what this all looks like in just a minute. Then we can come back and take a look at it if you want. And again, the top 5 following variable, we need to pass that into followers column. So followers column, we now have users top 5 following, right? So those are the items that we're going to display. So then in the feed, we're going to map onto a card component. This will all make more sense when you get to see the working code. But just you can always come back to this part of the tour, which is a little complicated. I totally understand. Sophia, the port 888 is not found because Netlify dev didn't finish. Okay, so but we need to get the user information in card.js. So we have user and we have toggle follow. So what toggle follow is going to be is it's going to be, am I following this person? And if I am following the person, then it's going to say unfollow. And then if I'm not following, and then it will say follow, right? So we just need to toggle that back and forth. And here's the followed button and the follow button. And I know this is very fast. I'm very sorry. But it's going to be much easier. Once we're looking at it, we can come back. If you guys have questions about specific pieces, we can go look at that code and figure out how it's doing what it's doing. So now I'm going to Netlify build. And then I'm going to Netlify deploy -p. Sophia, that is on the tour 4, step 4, I do believe. Okay, So now you can see it's packaging functions from the functions directory. Fantastic. That's really excellent, right? There's our functions, and now it's built. We can deploy it. And then we can open the site. And now, so these are cards, right? These are the top accounts that I have. I have following. Here's suggested people. These are people who I'm not following, who are popular, and there's the content. So I don't think I have all of the pieces correct there. It looks like, yeah, the user profile is. We need that picture, but so how's it working? Are you guys able to get to this point?
I do. I do. I'm not seeing any data, just the home page. Oh, maybe it's just loading, right? We should have all the same video, to be honest. Oh, Adolfo, Fabio told us it is working. You know, for me, not so much a JavaScript expert like Kirsten and such. I'm not trying to fully grasp all the React pieces. What are the components, how the components are linked one to other, how the page is organized. It just say, hey, so I do have a few files. This is my website. I create just 2 files. Now I do have a REST API, and it's super easy to connect to my database. It's more architecture point of view, but you know, if you are real coders and like code, and now you can commit what you do have right now, git commit, and you do have a full working app. You know, somebody asked for the code, just git commit, and boom, you do have it in your account.
Yeah. And to the comments in the feed, I totally agree. We need to make things clearer. I think we should probably have some buttons for some of these things, because if it's all text, it's hard to see what you're supposed to do. So you know, if I had a button that said "run server" that was bright blue, and it would be easier for you to see that, you know, that's how you run the server. All right. Okay. So we're gonna go to add functions now. We're going to copy in a new card.js. What we're doing is we're just including information about the user.
Okay.
Accept the user pass through to microcard. Oh, don't do this. I see that it's already done. Let's just
not. Okay. So step 6.2. Do not click insert code because it's there already.
Yeah. All right. And then we're going to bring in a new version of microcard. That shouldn't be necessary, but okay. And then we'll look at edit.js. So we're gonna use a file called edit.js for follow unfollow. We should probably name it, I don't know, follow.js, because edit isn't very clear. So again, we're grabbing the Astra client. This is just a module that has the client set up for your Astra client. And then we're going to do a user's update. And the body data is basically, am I following? Am I not following? Do the not thing. So if I'm already following, then unfollow. And if I'm not following, then follow, right? So this does both things. It's a toggle, right? So. All right. So uploads are handled. We're doing a faker. We're creating a UUID that isn't correct, and then we're going to create a new. So it shouldn't be users. It should probably be posts. .create, right? This is a demo, so I'm always looking to make it clearer. Step 5, number 10. You didn't do something earlier. Do that. Okay, so we now know how to upload a file and follow and unfollow a user. So we can check the implementation in home.js. So again, this is how it works, right? So if the user to toggle is followed, then turn it off, otherwise turn it on. And then the data that it sends through to that edit function is the new value. It's very we just looked at edit, so this is what's actually calling that edit. All right, so in upload, again, this is a page. It's in pages upload, right? And we sort of have a default stuff, right? And when we submit it, it sets all these things. And then we send it to Netlify functions add. And then we send back something that says it will be published, and it shows the image and set the video target value. All right, we're going to go ahead and commit that, deploy, and open. Well, the thing is, DataStax developers, that if you click finish, if you click to the next step and you didn't actually push all the buttons on the current step, it still gives you a check mark. So if there were 6 commands on a step, on one of the tour steps, and you clicked on 5 of them, and then you click next step, then it'll say you finished it, even though you didn't. All right, let's deploy. Oh, I did that. And then open. And I think we might be still missing a few pieces, but we got some top accounts here. That's good. And we have the upload button, which should show us the upload page. Okay. So it is, if you guys run into issues or are wondering why something isn't working the way you want, there is also a completely functional TikTok repository that you can cheat on. So we can send that out to you. So FN's sake, it looks like our functions because that's what we told it to do in netlify.toml. So Netlify uses that directory for the serverless functions. Yeah, so yes, it just looks under the functions folder. Does anybody have any questions? That's the full experience. So we have a few more minutes if you guys want to look for stuff. Oh, add-a, capital A adds all of the files in your directory.
I don't know. Because you're famous. You're so famous, Adolfo, already, you know?
So anyways,
yeah, go APO, go APO. I will buy some shares. Yeah.
I think we're all done now. If you guys want to go through this again on your own time, just remember that there's a Discord channel. There's a Discord, which I strongly suggest that you join, but also there's a channel in there called Workshop Feedback. And we love to get feedback about, things that you found frustrating or ways we can make things better. So please feel free to jump in there. We are a worldwide team, so usually there's someone in there who can help you if you have questions. Cedric, do you have anything?
Somebody asked for the homework, because already some folks are finished, like us, and they would like to do a screenshot and submit the homework, as fast as possible. And so I share the link with you all. You simply create a new issue to this GitHub repo, providing some screenshot. There is a template there. Oh, you know what? I will take over the screen if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, let me share screen. Start sharing. Hey, here we go. Boom. So let's see. We will switch from black to white. Yeah, so hey, that's me. Okay, so for all those who completed all steps, one by one, taking the time, and we may have rushed time to time, but really by following step by step, you end up with the full working app with full working code, and you can commit the code and do have everything running. You can brag on Twitter, you can, that would be cool. But also to get a badge, you simply need to go to this URL. I give you again the URL on the YouTube chat. Go there, create a new issue, choose the template homework assignment. Hey, there you go. So provide name, email, LinkedIn profile, just optional. Provide the URL of your own app running. That's the best proof that the app is working. Then, of course, you can do a screenshot. But hey, to be honest, just a working URL would be, okay for me, because if you do have the working app, that means you completed all the steps. So I will come and add my own video and in your TikTok just to be even more famous. But hey, this is how you did. And look at that. Then we just review your work. And if everything is okay, you do have a nice congratulations message with a link to your badge, and you can brag. So the latest to this date to have the TikTok badge is Mr. Shivani Narang. And he completed the homework on October the 13th. That's today. That's okay. Oh no, issue on the 7th. So it was last week. But we do have a lot of badges, a lot of workshops. So if you like this interactivity, doing workshop with us, some are more code oriented, some are more architecture like today. Consider to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tweet about the workshop, make us famous, bang tweet on the YouTube chat and complete the homework. But you know what? Because you attended today, I even have more for you. So the badge, okay, you do have the link. You do have, how to complete the homework. First, there is Anya Kubo, a famous YouTuber that build the code that we are using today, and she's doing a 2 hours video explaining how she built the code step by step. The link of the video is on screen. It's also on the GitHub repository, of course. Okay, so that's one thing, piece of video to share, just really to have the code piece. Because you attend today, you can start your journey to learn about Cassandra. Cassandra is a NoSQL distributed database that is included in Astra. It was a bit magic today. You just create an instance, start working with it. But if you want to get certified, get a nice, it's cost some money. This is the, so Venture, this is the URL. I see that David already shared that. The form will not be open for long. It's free for you, not for us, because taking the certification is normally $155. Because you attend today, you can try it for free. But there is no free meal, right? You still have to take the free courses on academy.datastacks.com to learn more about this database, what it does, in depth, how to use it. And as soon as you complete the MOOC, then you can ask for the voucher and get the certification. Okay, so 3 certification: Cassandra developer, Cassandra administrator, and Cassandra on Kubernetes. The database ID, it's just your Astra database ID. Simply go to Astra, look at.
They can just look in their database file.
Yeah. Oh yeah. cat.env. Okay, let me do that. Okay. Oops. Let me close. Okay. cat.env. Astra TikTok. cat.env. Don't use mine. Here you go. It's called Astra DB ID. Okay, this is the one you need to provide. Also, maybe easier, on the web user interface, we created workshops. And here you can see on the dashboard, database ID. Here it is. See, it's not easy to, it's not difficult to provide just there. That's just the database ID. Hey, that's just kind of a way for us to validate that you at least did a few steps of the workshop today, and ready to rock with Cassandra. Okay, that's the courses that you should take for each certification. Each time 2 courses. It's just about learning, really. That's super cool.
Well, and the other thing is, I don't think we mentioned, almost most of the top 100 Fortune 100 companies, they use Cassandra. Apple, Netflix,
yeah, of course.
Huge companies, and they pay their engineers quite a lot. It's a great thing to have on your resume, especially if you're maybe trying to move into the database space. So it's not just a fun hobby. It's really very, very useful.
It's a NoSQL database. Yeah, and it's pretty cool, and it's used indeed by big names like Apple, Instagram, Uber, and many, many more. Most of the Fortune 100, as Stan stated. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the session. Now is really the time for us to say, hey, if you like it, please subscribe, tweet about us, make some noise. We are here every single week with new content every week. So to know what's coming, datastacks.com/workshops, and you will see we are also doing Cassandra Days. So what's coming? Cassandra Days Australia next week, and many more. You navigate the YouTube channel, you will see some content, especially, I don't know, on React, on GraphQL, on Netlify especially, but also Java, Python, Spring, a lot of stuff to learn. For any question on any workshop, go to the Discord, bit.ly/Cassandra workshop, or bang, Discord. Now you know it. Join the Fellowship of the Rings. 17,000 people there, and would love to see you there, and get sharing the knowledge, and even more giveaways, who knows. Okay, right. now is the time for us to say thank you for everyone to stay with us up to the end, and hope to see you next week. Kirsten?
Thanks, everybody.
Hope you enjoy. Yeah, so see you next time. Bye.
And as always, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell to get notifications for all of our future upcoming workshops.
Imagine a being gifted with powers from the goddess of Cassandra, who grew those powers until she could multiply at will, move with limitless speed, and unmask hidden knowledge. With those powers, she was able to fully understand the connectedness of the world. What she saw was a world in need of understanding. From that day forward, she sought to bestow her powers on all who came into contact with her, empowering them to achieve wondrous feats.